Hey there, I just posted the video on making this miter station, and if you haven't seen that, I'll have a link in the description. Now this is a build that's long overdue. I actually used to have somewhat of a miter station a long time ago. I had a couple wings with a central point for the miter saw. Nothing was really built that well, and I didn't think about leveling anything or being able to adjust or square up anything on the miter station. So eventually I got one of those folding stands with the little wings that can pop up for stop blocks and be adjusted and leveled out. And I thought that was the best solution because I could take it to a friend or family member's house if I'm helping with a project. And on top of that, I would have something that's very adjustable, I guess, in the shop. But I found that it actually became more of an annoyance than anything. The pieces that would come out that you can level, they would easily get knocked down. They wouldn't hold very tight. And it's kind of the same with the stop block functionality. And it didn't have like a ruler or anything with a stop block. So you still had to measure it, set up the stop block, and then make cuts, which does work out okay, but it's not that great. The main reason I wanted to build a miter station actually is to have the measuring tape and a stop block here, because this I can simply slide it to whatever measurement I want, lock it in place. I never have to pull out my measuring tape. So, it feels more like I'm working with the table saw, which is kind of cool. Now, I don't have this set up for every measurement. You probably noticed that. It goes down to maybe 13.5 inches to be safe, maybe 14. So it doesn't go much smaller than that. But there's actually a really nice benefit to me using a miter slot stop block method and then having this measuring tape that I'm sticking on myself with this 3D printed pointer that can be adjusted. I can make a longer stop block that slides further in, that can slide to smaller measurements, have another measuring tape I stick on with a pointer, and then this can handle, smaller cuts. So I can have many different types of stop blocks, which is kind of cool. And there's something else I wanted to mention that's related to this. I see a lot of miter stations where people add the fence in the back, the fence extension next to the miter saw. And that works okay. It is tricky because you have to make sure it is absolutely lined up with the miter saw fence, because all of your cuts for angles and all that are going to be referenced off the miter saw fence. That's what everything is dialed into, like the indents on the miter saw for adjusting the angle. So your extensions have to be dead accurate. Now, that being said, there's something else that annoys me about the fences and stop blocks in some other builds I see that I wanted to fix here. When people add fences, they tend to use the T-track type of fence because they want to use the T-track stop blocks. And a lot of those will deflect or bump easily because they slide easily in the T-track. So it's hard to get a really good fit where they're not gonna, after cutting 6 pieces and bumping it, they tend to kind of adjust slightly, maybe a 32nd of an inch or a 16th of an inch. Not much, but it does add up. Now, I went with the miter slot route because I've been using this miter slot hardware for some other jigs, and this has a crazy strong hold because this kind, it expands out these metal wings, kind of compressing itself within the miter slot. So this is insanely strong. And also, because I'm going with the miter slot, I can make many different types of stop blocks with different measurements in order to accommodate different sizes, even ones that are on the miter saw table where normally with those other fences you wouldn't be able to accommodate that. There's a couple things I wanted to point out as well about the design of this future editions that I really haven't sorted out exactly what I want to do yet. First is a dust hood, because having a dust hood around a miter saw can really help contain some of the sawdust. And really, it would just be some plywood pieces going around up and over. That's it, real simple, but I think that would help quite a bit. Now, besides that, you may have noticed there's no storage because I have my vacuum, dust collection, and then my scrap bin. So there's nowhere to put any tools or jigs or anything like that, which is okay. It's not the end of the world. But because the miter saw fence is so far forward, I have a lot of room behind there where I can add some shelves, maybe some upper drawers or cabinets. Who knows? I'm not sure. But the other thing I'm thinking about is ripping out my wood storage here so I can add a bunch of French cleats. That way I can have some French cleat wood storage hangers or tool hangers or clamp storage along this entire wall as well, which would be really nice. So I try to keep this as simple as possible because I, a lot of miter stations are really cool, but some of them there's just so much put into it, and it's kind of hard if you're thinking, oh, I need a miter station, I'm gonna try this build, and it's just this month-long project thrown in your face. Where what I tried to accomplish with my build video on this is keeping it pretty simple, go down to the basics, and try to make things as easy to adjust as possible, and I guess as difficult to screw up as possible. And part of that being how all of the tables in miter saw can be adjusted to different heights, and also the way I set up the stop block and measuring here, because all of this can be adjusted in different ways. So it's really easy to build it close enough and get it fine-tuned. That's really what I was going for here. But I'd like to know, what do you think? What do you like about this? Or maybe there's something you would do differently. I'd love to know. So let me know in the comments.